You are falling. Dimensions pass you by like cars on a highway. Worlds of light and colour flip past your view in a blink. Cosmic dances lasting eons welcome you into their rhythm for just a few brief moments. And then you stop. Hello? Can you hear me? As consciousness returns and you begin to pick yourself up off the ground, a concerning realization blooms in your mind. The sky is wrong. What do you see when you look up? A cold black desert stretches to the horizon, broken up by towering mesas and imposing plateaus. The wind on your face is dry and cold, but the chill does not bite at your skin, choosing to softly caress it instead. Above the world hangs a ringed gas giant, its dark orange hues illuminated from the light of its parent star. A world of metal lays before you, littered with cold towers jutting up like fingers, incredibly deep ravines filled with dim, blinking lights, and enormous hieroglyph-covered pyramids made of solid steel, reaching up towards the sky. A dark sky, dominated by a frighteningly close, blood-red moon. The ground beneath you is soft and damp, occasionally broken up by patches of grass or moss. Before you stands a dilapidated and ruined space shuttle, still on its launch pad. Beyond the ship, you see nothing but thick clouds of fog spreading out and covering the sky in all directions with only a faint light in the distance. A star trying in vain to light this shrouded world. The freezing, bitter cold stabs into your skin, biting deep into your flesh. The world around you is a nigh-barren frozen wasteland covered in snow and towering mountains, with only a few snow-covered evergreen-like trees scattered throughout the tundra. 2 moons hanging in the sky, but what truly catches your eye are the 2 small ships speeding through the night, leaving ion trails in their wake. A prehistoric sight greets you, as does a strong gust of hot, damp air that feels uncomfortably heavy in your lungs. As far as you can see, large forests and thick jungles cover every square inch of this world, interrupted briefly by imposing mountains and great lakes. Strange animals move along the large lake below, and birds the size of houses soar in the distance. The ground is wet and moist. The wide marshy field you find yourself in is covered in deep puddles filled with fluorescent blue-green water, and an absolutely enormous mountain looms far in the distance. A strange meteor-like orb floats next to the mountain, and the ground shakes as a hurricane grows around the towering peak, with lightning arcing from the sphere down to the land below. What is this place? Where are we? Wait, we? Yes, you can hear me. Sorry, I've never actually done this before. You're kind of my first. No, there's no need to look around for me. I'm talking in your head. I'm kind of inside you. Yes, please don't panic. I'm sorry. We normally always ask permission first, but I was dying, and I wasn't sure when you were going to wake up. First things first. Introductions. Hello. I am an Endling. We're a race of symbiotic organisms. Basically, I keep you alive, so you can keep me alive. Win-win. As for who I am, well, I was actually only born a few hours ago, so I'm not quite sure yet. My people pass our knowledge down through our genes. That's how I know what I am, though I have no idea where we are or how we got here. And I don't believe my people have ever met one of yours before. Yes, Endling is a rough translation for your benefit. Our name means something akin to being of the last, a name we took on when our homeworld went cold, and we scattered across the stars. Now on to the important topic, what I can do for you. My people have the power to shape our hosts, though we rarely do it without permission. This is a partnership after all. However, there are several different subspecies of Endling, each with their own unique forms. Subspecies. Choose one. Night Wraith. First developing on a mega-floral world covered in massive trees, the Night Wraith specialize in blending into and moving through the shadows, allowing them to traverse the dark jungle floors and climb the mighty tree trunks with both incredible speed and impressive ease. Those who are bonded to Night Wraiths often seem to teleport, disappearing into the night with barely a sound. They can even mask their presence from psionic beams, including other Endlings. Night Wraiths excel in getting their partner out of harm's way, typically through the usage of copious amounts of invisibility and camouflage. Gain stealth mastery for free. Nevermore. When Night Wraiths hide in the shadows, Nevermores hide in the light. First developing on an Ecumenopolis, this successful and widespread subspecies of Endlings developed a natural skill for shapeshifting and form changing in order to both hunt and evade effectively, and an experienced Nevermore can warp their host's face to an unrecognizable degree in a matter of seconds. Nevermores are also highly proficient in repairing damage or ailments to their host's body, and they can even change their host into a different species altogether. Gain advanced shapeshifting for free. Astral. All Endlings possess some telepathic capabilities, allowing them to communicate with their hosts and each other over great distances with minimal lag. One of the last remaining subspecies from the Endlings' homeworld, Astrals take this to the next level, tapping into their own psionic powers, as well as unlocking any latent abilities that their host might possess, granting advanced telekinesis and telepathy, among other powers. Astrals have become rather rare due to their less than subtle natures and threatening abilities. Gain mind over matter for free. Aegis. The Aegis subspecies first developed on a world plagued by modern warfare, and thus adapted accordingly in order to keep their hosts alive. These Endlings have a natural affinity for defensive adaptations, especially exoskeletons, and external muscular systems, and an experienced Aegis can make their host nigh impervious to small arms fire with thick, multi-layered bone plating. The Aegises often go to absurd lengths in order to keep their hosts alive, even wrapping them in thick, durable cocoons for months or even years on end, in order to try and repair their damaged partners. Gain living armor for free. Stalker. The deadly Stalkers evolved in a large, super-habitable world, and thus had to compete with a diverse and aggressive ecosystem. To do this, they utilize practically every method of predation available. Stalkers are naturally adept at enhancing their host senses to incredible degrees, and often tinker with internal biological improvements, such as granting their partner deadly claws and denser muscles, in addition to impressive agility that even rivals the speed of Night Wraiths. Stalkers often carry a wide array of deadly neurotoxins and horrifically painful venoms, which they can switch out on the fly. Gain accelerated evolution for free. Reaper. The rarest and most feared subspecies of Endling in the cosmos, the Reapers are highly efficient killers, bearing a resemblance to vampires of human lore. Reapers are a direct offshoot of the Astral branch and possess unique psionic powers that allow them to instantly paralyze most animals through even just a few moments of skin contact, after which they feast on the body completely, consuming even the bones. Reapers can also use telepathy to induce hallucinations and intense paranoia in their prey, and often toy with any sapient beings they hunt. Gain demonic essence for free. Symbiote personality archetypes. Choose one primary personality and one secondary to fill in the gaps of the primary. Epicurean-type Endlings are characterized by their deeply romantic views of the universe around them. They love adventures, thrills, and they seek to experience all that life has to offer. Despite being somewhat hedonistic, they dislike long periods of relaxation, preferring to chase adrenaline highs and break their previous limits. Epicureans often have trouble staying stagnant for too long, and become anxious or depressed when in this state. Epicureans hunt for the thrill of the chase, just as much as for the need to survive. Erudite Endlings are the curious, the inquisitive, the explorers and dreamers. They seek to know and understand the universe around them, and thus greatly enjoy experimenting with theories, reading books, and learning new skills and trades. Erudites are quite good at puzzle solving, and typically possess a love for mental challenges and riddles. Erudites almost always have some problems with attention, either hyper-focusing on their current endeavour, or constantly getting distracted by every interesting thing that they pass by. Pollyanna-type Endlings are the bleeding hearts, the optimists, those who love the world and those around them with all their hearts. Polyanas are naturally empathic, and are very good at reading social cues, vocal cues, and body language across practically any organic species. Polyanas are naturally skilled at forming bonds with others, especially animals, and they tend to become very protective towards those they have bonded with. However, Polyanas also harbour a natural dislike of violence and combat, and will tend to shy away from it. Drengir-type Endlings are natural-born warriors. They are hunters and athletes. They seek to achieve power through their natural forms, to unlock their deepest layers, and to find out what it means to live. No other Endlings hunt with the intensity and ferocity of Drengir types, as these Endlings will fight to the death on a whim. They never back down from a challenge. They never give up, even when the odds are massively against them, and their stubbornness and tenacity makes them very hard to put down for good. Choleric-type Endlings are doers and movers, pushers and champions. These Endlings are very extroverted, assertive and outspoken, never hesitating to share their feelings and thoughts. Cholerics also tend to be very genuine and dislike lying or manipulating the truth, as well as hiding their true feelings. Despite being so action-oriented, cholerics dislike planning and extended thinking on what to do next, as they tend to believe that such ruminations only trap you in doubt and fear. Reclusive-type Endlings are thinkers, tacticians and ponderers. They prefer the company of themselves and their host most of the time, and tend to become withdrawn when near too many other people. Recluses prefer to live life in the shadows, and despise being the centre of attention. Recluses are also quite logical, and are naturally good at piecing together context clues and gathering information. This allows them to plan out and predict future movements, and they dislike charging into action without some sort of plan formed. Doyen-type Endlings are often likened to parents or wise elders, as they often take on a nurturing, caring or protective role towards their hosts, or those around them. Even a young Doyen seems to universally display a natural wisdom for the world and for others, allowing them to know just what to say to calm others down, or how to help others through hard times. Doyen are extremely patient, with many rarely losing their tempers even a few times over their lives. These Endlings are fiercely protective of those they care for, and will sacrifice themselves for their host if need be. Analogon-type Endlings are only formed when a very young newborn Endling bonds with a strong-willed sapient, and thus the Endling's personality becomes a somewhat distorted mirror of their host's. As the Analogon copies personality traits rather than mirroring their host completely, these Endlings often form a sibling or twin-like relationship with their host. Because of this, Analogons are often surprisingly volatile when combined with the host, as the matching personality traits tend to cause friction. Endling abilities. All Endlings have a range of abilities and powers that they can access when linked to their host. There are powers that every Endling naturally has, and there are abilities that come with subspecies. You have 2 evolution points to spend on additional powers. All powers cost 1 evolutionary point. Default powers. You receive all of these for free. Basic shapeshifting. Now that the Endling is directly wired into your bodily systems, it can make small changes to practically every part of your body. The Endling can take over and adjust certain functions, such as dramatically speeding up blood clotting and skin repair, purging viruses and diseases with extreme efficiency, destroying hostile bacteria and infections, and even changing your hair and eye colour. Finally, your Endling can manufacture and send stem cells to any part of your body, allowing you to repair major organ damage in a matter of weeks. Initial symbiosis. Your Endling can produce the same molecular compound that makes up its own body through your skin, allowing you to grow a new layer of skin essentially made up of directly controllable stem cells. This second skin can look exactly like your own, normal skin, and on the fly it can harden and begin producing bone-like armor, or it can change its color, allowing you to somewhat blend into environments and hide your identity. This second skin can also thermoregulate with extreme efficiency, so you can withstand intense cold and heat. Beginning psionics. The Endling now inside you naturally possesses psionic abilities, and it has permanently left copies of these psionic cells inside your own brain, allowing the two of you to communicate at the speed of thought regardless of the distance between the two of you, almost as good as quantum entanglement communication. The Endling can also sense the presence of nearby sapients, especially psionic ones, and when in close proximity to a sapient being, you'll be able to accurately gauge their intentions and emotional state through empathic sensing. Shape-shifting abilities. Advanced shape-shifting. Your Endling now has an incredible level of control over your internal biology, allowing you to manipulate your cells to change your facial features, skin tone, voice tone, height, and even overall fat and muscle distribution. Pushing beyond this, your Endling can radically change your musculatory system, granting you far denser and stronger muscles while protecting your body from any damage you might inflict on yourself through their use, thus propelling you up to and even beyond peak human strength and speed. This also allows your Endling to dramatically boost your healing speed. Accelerated evolution. Through careful manipulation of your double helix, your Endling can activate millions of years of junk DNA to grant you a number of impressive traits. With just a thought, your eyes can become changed to see in the dark and become as sharp as an owl's, and your other senses can boost to match this. You can also develop impressive fangs, retractable claws, grow venom sacs to produce any kind of poison imaginable, and your Endling can grant you working gills and webbing to make you amphibious. Stealth mastery. Your Endling is a master of biological stealth, allowing you to change your skin to perfectly blend in with your environment in seconds, as well as slow down your heart and breathing rate, and hide your heat signature. Through psionic powers, your Endling can make you invisible while in motion, by shifting light around your body, though this only lasts for but a few moments. Finally, your Endling can change and warp your body to allow you to navigate difficult terrain, such as treetops, with both impressive ease and in complete silence. Symbiosis abilities. Living armor. Your Endling is now capable of altering the molecules in your second skin, allowing you to create a wide range of durable and powerful bioarmors. You are no longer limited to simple bone plating. Now you can develop organic carbon steel plating, and a durable Kevlar analog using the same basic structure as spiderwebs, allowing you to withstand large explosions, large amounts of small arms fire, significant amounts of fire, and even armor-piercing sniper rounds, depending on how thick your armor is. You will need to grow exterior muscles to carry heavier bioarmor. Organic weaponry. After careful study of your DNA and some rather creative brainstorming, your Endling has developed ways of forming unique organic weaponry from your symbiotic second skin. This primarily focuses on growing blades and spikes of iron-hard bone in a matter of seconds, though you can also grow spiked tendrils, bladed prehensile tails, and thick bone gauntlets built to splinter into your enemy's flesh upon impact. You are mainly limited to melee weapons, but you have a wide range of possibilities in regards to what you can create. Perfect union. Your Endling is capable of changing every single cell in your body into the same material that makes up your secondary skin, allowing you to transform into an almost fluid mass of sentient cells, capable of hiding in and moving through extremely small spaces. This level of biological union allows you to achieve a unique form of shapeshifting, focusing on transforming and compressing your body into both animate and inanimate objects, down to the size of a coffee cup, and up to the size of an adult cow, all while being able to return to your original shape at will. Psionic abilities. Mental power. By unlocking your own latent psionic abilities, your Endling has boosted your mental faculties and overall intelligence, granting you a number of boons. With your potential unlocked, you shall now find it extremely easy to pick up new languages, solve complex problems and equations, learn new skills and understand difficult topics, and your memory will become photographic and idyllic. In addition to this, you will gain an increased reactionary ability that allows you to slow your perception of time down to a fraction of normal while stressed or in danger. Demonic essence. Through cultivation of the darker aspects of telepathy and mental projection, you have become capable of numerous psionic abilities that many would call evil or demonic. To start with, you can project your mind onto others nearby, inducing intense hallucinations and feelings of paranoia and panic. This can be used to make enemies run away, freeze up, or begin attacking each other. You are also capable of directly assaulting the mind of an enemy through touch, simply needing to lay a finger on a creature to render it unconscious in seconds. Mind over matter. The bread and butter of psionic power, your Endling has coupled their powers with your own newly unlocked abilities to grant you telekinesis and a more advanced form of telepathy. With this telekinesis, you can reach out and grip or push objects, move them around, and even hurl them at impressive speeds. With time, the amount you can lift and how fast you can throw will increase, allowing you to even pick up and hurl forklifts at your enemies. Your telepathic senses can now pick up the thoughts of those nearby, and you can extract memories and information from others through touch. Unique abilities. Living Darkness. Free if you have 2 of the following: Stealth Mastery, Demonic Essence, or Mind Over Matter. By combining your psionic abilities, your Endling has developed a new and unique method of staying hidden and safe. This ability, often known as plane shifting, allows you to briefly push your body into another dimensional plane, appearing to become an intangible mass of darkness and flesh. Your temporal speed is also accelerated while in this form, allowing you to move dozens of feet in the blink of an eye. This ability only lasts a minute or 2, and overuse can cause massive fatigue. Biological Multitude. Free if you have 2 of the following: Advanced Shapeshifting, Accelerated Evolution, or Perfect Union. Thanks to your Endling's natural mastery over the shapeshifting arts, you have gained access to some rather unique and rare biological abilities. This allows you to completely grow new organs and limbs at your leisure, even ones that do not mesh well with your human biology. This can be anything from tails to extra arms, to a centaur-like lower body, and you can even grow a massive pair of wings to take to the skies as fast and as high as any bird. Kinetic Prowess. Free if you have 2 of the following: Organic Weaponry, Mental Power, or Mind Over Matter. A more volatile and combat-focused psionic field, Kinesis is an ability that few Endlings can master or even use reliably, but yours has managed to figure out the secrets. With these powers, you should become capable of firing off and summoning blasts of kinetic energy, strong enough to rival speeding car crashes, and capable of snapping bones with ease. You also gain access to psychovoltaics, psionically generated electrical fields that you can use to electrify your surroundings or fire a bolt of lightning at enemies. Your new home. After getting acquainted with your new bodymate, the 2 of you set off to discover where exactly you had ended up. It didn't take long for you to stumble across someone sentient and get some answers. No one in this place seems to know the specifics, but everything in this star system, from the people to the planets, were all dumped here by various means. Some were toying with things beyond their stature, some taunted divine powers or tried to break the laws of reality, and some simply got very unlucky. These are the Borderworlds, 6 planets covered in refuse from across unknowable universes, isolated and apparently inescapable. The 6 worlds are linked through the monoliths, person-sized floating blocks that, upon touch, instantly teleport you to one of the other worlds. Each planet is covered in dozens of monoliths, and most have seen some form of settlement built up around them. Unfortunately, the settlements are the only places that are even partially safe. Almost everything in the Borderworlds is out for blood. The Borderworlds. Tau. The largest moon of Sigma, the local gas giant. Tau is slightly smaller than Earth and is currently in a supercontinental phase. Half of the planet is land, while the other half is a singular, massive ocean of liquid water. The atmosphere is slightly thinner than Earth's, and much of the mainland is somewhat unpleasant. The coasts are covered in lush forests, which soon give way to towering mountain ranges that crisscross the continent, causing huge desertscapes that stretch across most of the equatorial regions. The shifting sands hide many treasures and ancient ruins, but a species of large and violent four-armed humanoids, known as the Necrath, also call the region home. Server. Once a hub world for a powerful and widespread Gestalt machine race, Server collapsed when it was pulled into the Borderworlds. The surface is still covered in city-sized factories, deep canyons filled with servers, and towering skyscrapers dedicated to computations. The machines pulled with it are split into various groups, some forming tribalistic societies that hunt all others, some joining with organics and forming settlements, and some mindlessly continue their old works, churning out computations and advanced technology for a master that will never return to them. Server is the only place to find space-worthy vehicles, though the killer robots are always on the hunt. Moya. A rocky ocean world with an extremely active hydrosphere, Moya is perpetually covered in a strange mist. The mist is home to a race of local horrors known as worms, massive 60-foot-long carnivorous beasts who move and migrate with the mist, preferring to hunt where it is thick. Moya is extremely dangerous when travelling alone, as the creatures in the mist are drawn to lone prey. Only when moving in dense groups can the people who live on the world hope to survive. Like the other worlds, Moya is host to great ruins from across the multiverse, but the landscape seems to shift and change with the mist, and even the buildings tend to move. Skadi. The furthest border world from the central sun, Skadi is thus the coldest and has the lowest population of any of the border worlds. Only the hardiest and the most desperate try to eke out a living on the frozen world. The majority of the planet is buried under massive glaciers, with thick evergreen-like forests covering the equatorial regions, but it is usually warm enough for liquid water to be present in abundance. The planet is also teeming with ruined infrastructure, implying that this world was once inhabited by a thriving civilization. Those who survive the cold must then face off with massive, roving mechs and packs of six-legged wolf bears, known as the Hecti. Genia. At first glance, this world is a paradise. It is covered in lush rainforests, majestic waterfalls can be seen all over the planet, and the rich soils are perfect for cultivation. The only problem is the wildlife, which has primarily evolved to be both very large and very omnivorous. Dinosaur-like reptiles dominate the planet, hunting a widespread species of horse-like megafauna. Deep in the forests, even the plants have grown carnivorous, with deadly Venus flytraps and living vines laying in wait. Thankfully, Genia also has some of the largest settlements in the system, with some even being large enough to be considered cities, and using server-built spaceships regularly. Typhon. Typhon is a stormy atoll world that is 85% fresh water, with very little salt being present on the planet. The great oceans of the planet are broken up by enormous island chains stretching hundreds of miles, but this picturesque world is extremely turbulent. Massive, esoteric crystal spheres, known as the Eyes, constantly float over the surface, stirring up massive storms in their wake through radiant psionic and gravitational power. The Eyes have, thus far, not been considered to be sentient or even alive, and their paths across the planet never change or deviate. Underneath the waves live all manner of horrific aquatic megafauna that make megalodons look small and innocent. Threats. Each world has a number of threats, but you can pick and choose a major threat for each world. Upgrading a threat to a major threat increases the range, number, and/or severity of that threat. All threats will be present regardless of your choice in major threat. Choose one major threat for each world. Tau. Necrath. A race of tall, four-armed humanoids. Now the Necrath stand up to 10 feet tall and possess a light, black carapace across their bodies. They are a violent and carnivorous race of subsapiens, living in basic nomadic societies and using only the most simple tools and technologies. They will hunt any decently sized creature they come across, attacking sapiens only out of opportunity. Normally there are roughly a dozen tribes on Tau, each having at least 500 members. Upgrading this threat will increase the number of tribes to 36, and they will now prefer to actively hunt sapient life in the desert. They will now hunt in small groups rather than alone, and they will start using more complex tools and tactics against prey. Rakabot. Hiding in wait beneath the shifting sands, the Rakabot are massive arachnids that utilize ambush tactics to catch their prey. Rakabots can grow to be around 15 feet long and 7 feet tall, and their stingers can lock up muscles and stun enemies in less than a minute. It is unsure if they are native to the planet, as despite their obvious suitability to the environment, they are quite rare, with only a few hundred, perhaps 1,000 at most, being scattered across the supercontinent. By upgrading this to a major threat, you shot boost the number of Rakabots on the continent, increasing their numbers almost tenfold, as well as increasing their birth rate, making them an extant threat to all life on Tau, if they are allowed to breed wildly. Storms. On a world with so much desert, sandstorms are a dangerous but somewhat uncommon sight. Unfortunately, sandstorms on Tau are far stranger than ones on Earth. The few who have lived through one have stated they saw shapes moving in the storm, and some bodies recovered after a storm has passed have displayed disturbing bite marks, numbering in the dozens, each small but extremely deep. Other corpses found have either been ripped limb from limb, drained of all their bodily fluids, or have mysteriously lost all their internal organs with no sign of outside damage. By upgrading this, storms will become far more common and deadly, with the blowing sand capable of peeling even your symbiote skin off your body. Server. Rippers. Roughly 58% of the billions of machines that make up Server's workforce fail to become Rippers, spread out across hundreds of tribes scattered across Server, with some tribes having millions of robots in their number. The nature of the Rippers tend to vary from tribe to tribe, with some being cold, efficient, bloodthirsty sociopaths, and others being stark-raving lunatics with no sense of self-preservation. The vast majority of Ripper tribes rarely fight amongst themselves, preferring to hunt any organic that dare step on Server's surface. Some even turn their victims into trophies or wear the flesh of those they've slain. By upgrading this threat, Ripper clans will now start working together, teaming up to form veritable armies. Predators. A line of hunter-killer machines, the Predators had the luck of being produced in one of the few factories still fully staffed by near-mindless machines, and so these deadly combat androids have been pumped out in ways with no real goals or plans, other than to fulfill their intended purpose: hunt down and kill all possible threats. The only reason they haven't completely swarmed across the entire system is because their IFF programming has degraded, so now they also hunt their fellow machines, who often give as good as they get in terms of damage. By upgrading the Predators to a major threat, the Predator IFF programming will be repaired, so all new models will only hunt organics, and ignore any and all machine life. Mechan. Once the central computing core for Server, Mechan is a hyper-intelligent AI hidden deep beneath the metal surface, the computers making it up, stretching dozens of miles near the bottom of the planet's crust. Though it went offline after the world was pulled into the Borderworlds, it has been tirelessly working to re-establish its former power, bringing more and more of its components online each year. For now, it hides in the shadows of Server, biding its time and working to eventually rejoin its former network, its robotic legions repairing its old parts, and often capturing organics to dissect. By upgrading this, Mechan will become an extant threat, seeking to completely dominate the entire system and liquidate all organic life in it. Moya. The Mist. Ask anyone on Moya, and they'll tell you to never, ever wander off where the mist is thick. The mist on Moya comes and goes, but when it is thick and dense, it starts affecting the minds of those who are caught in it. Roughly 50% of all people who enter the deep mist quickly develop intense paranoia and agoraphobia, with some even experiencing heart-stopping panic attacks. On top of this, almost 90% of all people who enter begin to experience hallucinations, with many attacking and killing their companions in terror. By upgrading this to a major threat, the mist will slowly grow to cover all of Moya in maximum density within a few years, then spread to the other worlds, enshrouding them as well. Whites. Those who are forever lost to the mist and aren't eaten by worms become the Whites. Monstrously deformed half-decayed humanoids infused with a living ooze, and always accompanied by an extremely pungent aroma of rotting meat. The Whites remember nothing of who they were, and have fully succumbed to their current state as creatures of pestilence and hunger. They are perpetually driven to consume and fester, and even the worms find them unappetizing, so great is their disgusting nature. It is unknown how many Whites there are, but it is known that they wither and die outside of the mist. By upgrading to a major threat, Whites will now actively hunt people even outside the mist. Worms. Though they do not make the mist, the worms of Moya have adapted well to live within it, moving and migrating with its ebbs and flows. The 60-meter serpentine monsters possess massive maws, capable of swallowing multiple people whole at once, and they are horrifically fast with their powerful arms. Few have seen a worm and managed to get away to tell about it, as they prefer to hunt only in the deepest and thickest mist. To make them even worse, some theorize that they have some level of intellect, as they tend to adorn their bodies with the bones of their victims. By upgrading to a major threat, worms will now venture out of the deep mist in order to hunt, and some will appear on other worlds. Skadi. Hecti. The primary and dominant apex predator of Skadi are the Hecti, a race of enormous, elephantine wolves with thick hides and claws large enough to tear most animals apart with a single swing. Living in packs of up to several dozen, Hecti are born as the size of a normal adult wolf, then slowly grow to be almost 8 times their initial size. Their extremely territorial nature makes them a great threat to potential settlements, but thankfully it is easy to identify Hecti territory, and they are even somewhat benign when venturing outside of their chosen areas. By upgrading this, Hecti packs will now move far more often and will be extremely aggressive, even when not in their own territory. Titans. Most of the enormous siege mechs of Server fell long ago, either destroyed by their own kind or torn apart by the inhabitants of the other Borderworlds. But the last few Titans in the system roam the icefields and frozen cities of Skadi, mindlessly moving in any direction until they encounter something that is deemed a threat, be it sapient or animal. Many would-be surface settlements on Skadi have fallen to these machines, and thus most people choose to live underground to avoid them. Though centuries of wear and tear have weakened them, by upgrading this threat, the Titans' auto-repair functions will come back online, causing them to seek out and consume metal to use in order to repair their damaged forms. Jotun. Hang around the settlements of Skadi long enough, and you'll start to hear the tales of the Jotun, massive humanoids that purportedly live near the north and south poles of the planet. It's so cold up there that few care to explore the frozen wastes, and the only evidence that the Jotun exist are a few distant, blurry pictures, and a slowly growing list of people who vanished exploring the ends of the world. If they are real, no one is quite sure how they feed themselves or why they disappear so quickly, but any settlements that try to establish too far north or south will vanish within weeks, smashed to bits, and the inhabitants gone. By upgrading this, Jotun will begin to migrate to warmer areas, threatening all life on Skadi. Genia. Torvo. Originally named by a group of Romans who were dumped on Genia, the Torvo are a family of hostile, aggressive, and bloodthirsty reptilian carnivores that occupy a dominant predatory niche in the Genian global ecosystem. Consisting of 10 different subspecies, most Torvo stand at about 12 feet tall, have multiple clawed limbs, can run at roughly 45 to 50 miles per hour, and all adults possess some level of natural armor plating, capable of deflecting modern firearms, though even the most heavily armored subspecies only has this armor covering their head and upper torso. By upgrading this threat, the Torvo will become more intelligent, mimicking human calls and luring people into traps and ambushes. Trenodon. Just as widespread as the Torvo are the Trenodons, horse-like megafauna that can grow to a towering height of 60 feet tall, and all adult members possess a wide array of brutal bone spikes across their body, which they use to smash opponents with. The Trenodon are primarily herbivores and migrate across the planet in huge herds that can number in the thousands. Unfortunately, they are also easily spooked, and can quickly transform into a terrifying stampede if they feel threatened. Though the larger cities on Genia can withstand this, many smaller villages have been completely trampled by these rampages. By upgrading this threat, the Trenodon will have fewer self-preservation instincts, allowing them to try to storm the larger cities. Carnivores. Deep in the thick rainforest of Genia live the carnivores, enormous carnivorous plants with a taste for sentient flesh. These massive monsters have a number of prehensile vine-like appendages, which they use to grapple their prey with, drawing them into a maw of teeth and venom hidden within beautiful and gorgeous flowers. Carnivores only ever live within the jungles and rainforests, but they can pop up practically anywhere in these biomes, even disturbingly close to settlements. There are many stories of these things snatching children who stray too far from the walls, devouring them in seconds. By upgrading these, carnivores will become somewhat mobile, capable of shifting locations, albeit rather slowly. Typhon. Leviathans. Of all the aquatic megafauna on Typhon, none are as feared or as deadly as the Leviathans. Possessing draconic features, an agile serpentine body, and an assortment of massive pincer claws, the leviathans are the true apex predators of Typhon. These sea dragons can grow to a terrifying length of 300 feet, and can casually weigh over 100 tons, a shocking weight that does not slow them down in the slightest, as leviathans can reach a top speed of 35 knots while hunting. Thankfully, they primarily live in the bathypelagic zone, almost 3,000 meters below the waves, where they hunt whale-sized octopi and other megafauna. By upgrading this, leviathans will now frequently venture towards the surface, endangering all boats on the planet. Akuya. A violent and predatory subsapient race, the Akuya are a race of tall amphibious sharks that possess opposable thumbs and rudimentary language. It is estimated that there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Akuya on Typhon, though only a few hundred are seen each year due to their reclusive nature. The Akuya are violently xenophobic, and are terrified of any and all advanced life that they encounter, and have been known to fight to the death to avoid perceived capture. It is believed that the Akuya live in the massive underwater cave systems on Typhon, and only venture out when easily available food runs low. By upgrading this, the Akuya will begin expanding and creating settlements, making wide conflict inevitable. The Eyes. No one in the Borderworlds are quite sure what the Eyes are. Plenty of people have gotten close to them and even stood atop them, as there is an eye surrounding them and separating them from the massive storms and hurricanes they create. So far, the Eyes have never responded to any form of stimuli and appear to be fundamentally unbreakable. Repeated tests on the Eyes have shown them to be made out of an unknown carbon compound, which has led some to believe that they are actually alive. There are 12 eyes, and their set, unchanging paths have been documented extensively over the years. By upgrading this, the eyes will begin to change their paths, directly targeting settlements and cities, while stirring up even larger hurricanes. Allies. Choose 3 allies in the Borderworlds who will supply you with aid, shelter, and assistance if possible. Catone. An exceptionally rare species only found on Tau, the Catone are a race of long-lived felines capable of reaching impressive sizes, though their long childhoods make them particularly vulnerable to predators such as the Necraf and the Rakabut. Catone are also exceptionally intelligent to the point of matching children in social and problem-solving skills. This Catone was orphaned and found by you, and is currently only a few years old. He will quickly bond to you and become fiercely loyal with care, affection, and food. Though he is only the size of an average adult house cat right now, albeit with sturdy spikes across his body and sharp fangs, by the time he is 13 he will be fully grown, and rival adult tigers in size and strength, and he will live up to 60 years old with proper care. You may name this creature whatever you like. Amok. An absurdly ancient machine, Amok is older than Server itself, and is only still functioning because of its primary purpose, to self-improve. Constructed as a prototype bearing a sapient AI separate from the main intelligence, Amok was equipped with the ability to slowly self-improve over time, capable of rewriting its own code and retrofitting its own body with the idea of creating a singular, functionally immortal machine. Though its self-improvement functions are rather slow, they are theoretically endless, and it has reconfigured and expanded its intellect and processing power by several orders of magnitude since it was first built several millennia ago. Despite his age, Amok is still growing and developing, and is thus an intensely curious and inquisitive being, though centuries of experience has made it a formidable fighting force on any battlefield. Atlas. As a being unable to communicate vocally, it is hard to tell what Atlas's story and origins are. When he first appeared on Moya, those who saw him assumed him to be a wight and chased him away. Despite his imposing stature and intimidating appearance, Atlas is a shockingly gentle and soft-hearted creature, who only seems to want to make friends. He has interacted with and befriended others of Moya, such as Lady Maria, though he seems to grow lonely when not around enough people. Standing at over 8 feet tall and being almost completely comprised of muscle, Atlas is clearly an artificial chimera of some sort, and seems to possess shocking regenerative abilities, to the point of regrowing and reattaching severed limbs. Perhaps due to possessing childlike intellect, Atlas is extremely loyal, but also dislikes combat, only fighting defensively if he has to. Bruna. Standing at almost 7 feet tall, Bruna is a mountain of a man with the strength and durability to match. Created as an enhanced peacekeeper through advanced genetic manipulation, Bruna was bred and molded for interplanetary combat, so when he found himself stranded in the icy fields of Skadi, he had little difficulty surviving and adapting. As a gene warrior, Bruna heals far quicker than any human, and is strong enough to swing around 2 greatswords with ease, though since he was never intended to do anything other than fight, he has struggled socially in the Skadi settlements, only finding comfort in interacting with children, as he has developed a caring parental nature towards them, as well as fiercely defensive. Bruna spends most of his time leading hunting packs against the Hekti, clearing out land for settlement usage. Andko Frikatala. An odd being, Andko Frikatala was, apparently, an extremely notable and well-regarded aristocrat on his homeworld before being whisked away to the Borderworlds, a situation he seems to view in only positive lights. Boasting an impressive history of expeditions, explorations and adventures, Andko is an eccentric and highly skilled explorer, and has a number of skills in the fields of cartography, navigation, tracking, archaeology, and combat, though he has also dabbled in field medicine since coming to the Borderworlds. His forearms are just as agile and dexterous as a human's, and are arguably even more so. Despite his numerous odd quirks, including his discovered with others seeing his raw face, Andko is an extremely upbeat and optimistic individual, and seems to be able to lift the spirits of others in even the darkest of times. Morgaine. A kind and motherly scientist, Morgaine is a member of a notably curious and intelligent amphibious race. Morgaine spent much of her pre-lost life studying the sciences of biology and zoology, and her skills have served her well on the ocean world of Typhon. Though not the most agile swimmer, her ability to breathe underwater all but ensured her survival, and after falling into the system, she quickly ended up making contact with one of the few scientific institutions in the Borderworlds, the Erudite Conclave, a group of scientists and explorers primarily based on Genia, trying to unravel the mysteries of the Borderworlds. In the years since, Morgaine has become one of their leading members, and has picked up quite a few combat skills, allowing her to lead expeditions and commit the Conclave's significant resources as she pleases. Helenatos. Born to a group of Macedonians who were dumped onto the barren plains of Tau, Helenatos is a natural-born Borderworlder, a rare sight, yet one that has grown slightly more common in recent years. Fashioning herself as a romantic gunslinging mercenary and part-time outlaw, Helen speeds across the deserts of the Sandworld on a rare server-built anti-gravity hoverbike, capable of reaching up to 120 miles per hour. As a drifting freelancer, Helen often signs on with various groups who need a good scout or an extra gun, and she's garnered a reputation for being exceptionally reliable, due in no small part to her unique attributes. Perhaps due to being a Borderworlder, Helen has unusually sharp reflexes, sometimes even sensing danger before it appears, but her distaste for commitment means she is often facing down such dangers alone. Kazumi Sato. Once a quiet, shy engineer hailing from a futuristic human nation just as advanced as the race that built Server, Kazumi Sato dropped into one of the worst possible situations, right into the middle of a Ripper camp. Losing her right arm and barely escaping with her life, Kazumi would spend the next month evading the tireless hunters and using the advanced scrap around her to fashion potent weapons to fight for her life. It took almost 100 days of terror before she encountered other people, and that experience changed her deeply. Her new self is a far cry from the old Kazumi, as she now has a short temper, acute paranoia, and is struggling with both PTSD and some latent sadomasochistic tendencies. Despite all this, she is one of the best engineers in the Borderworlds, capable of building weapons and robotics equal to the ancient forges of Server. Lady Maria. Practically a myth on Moya, Lady Maria is known as the Mistwalker, one of the few who possesses a natural immunity to the mind-warping effects of the mist. For every story of someone being lost in the mist, there is another of someone being saved by Lady Maria, coming from the darkness itself and dragging them to safety. Some believe she is a spirit, others claim her to be some kind of super soldier or genius, given her strange bronze armor. She'll tell you that she's just a shy vagabond trying to do some good with what few gifts she's been given, and that it simply breaks her heart to see the people of Moya suffer. Maria dislikes talking of her past and seems to have an array of different talents, usually relating to chemical and biomechanical engineering, and she's been working tirelessly to research the mist and figure out how to destroy it once and for all. Ela. One of Skyli's most skilled and revered survivors, Ida is one of the few people in the Borderworlds to take down a Titan with minimal assistance. Born to the Inuit, Ida was raised with skills perfect for the harsh snowscapes of Skadi, and her training as a scout and guide proved invaluable to the local people. Within months of falling into the Borderworlds, Ida had become a respected leader of the local settlement, an underground town called Boria. In the years that followed, the town flourished under her guidance, soon growing to be the single largest settlement in Skadi, boasting tens of thousands of people. Despite all this, Illa has always been somewhat introverted and a bit of a loner, and will often be the one leading hunting and scouting parties or going off on her own, and with only her wits and her lightweight modified chain gun, torn off a Titan's arm. Shanair Orson. A lifetime ago, Shanair Orson was a Thule, a respected and honoured deliverer of justice and seeker of the wrong, an odd blend of police investigator and feudal samurai, completely dedicated to serving the common good with his quick wits and quicker draw. These days, Orson has found that his skills are quite useful in the lawless Borderworlds, and so he travels from world to world taking cases and solving problems, anything from petty theft between neighbours to full-blown serial killers and insane terrorists. He never even asks for payment, only accepting it when fully given. His selfless actions contrast with his stoic and humorless nature, and he has practically become a folk hero amongst the lost, which has resulted in people showing unusual levels of hospitality to him, and those with him, whenever he comes to town. Captain Rampart. Few people seeking to make a living on Typhon have the luxury of using a spaceship, so many choose to ride with one of the many ship captains that spend their lives on the rocking waves of the waterworld. Captain Rampart is, according to most, one of the best ship captains in the system, a rarely seen and highly advanced coordinator model android. Rampart was designed to oversee and manage tens of thousands of drones on board city-sized starships, and the only thing she's found in the system that fits her skill set and doesn't bore her to tears is waging war against the constant storms of Typhon on board her high-tech sailing ship, the Marked Knife. Rampart has all but memorized every aspect of Typhon's seas and weather, and is both a competent fighter as well as a charming conversationalist, if something of an adrenaline junkie. Gain 1 bonus evolutionary point for liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and leaving a comment below. Gain another bonus evolutionary point if you're a Patreon. Gain a 3rd bonus evolutionary point if you use this to write your own HFY story.